we were 15.
Lucky me, right? I want to tell you a little bit about our story. Our story includes far more than Jenny and I. It actually includes a whole community here of coaches, of athletes, and of parents. About 7 years ago, we had a handful of 8th graders that previously had been allowed to run with the high school track and field and cross-country teams, but this year they weren't allowed to. And in talking with local school authorities and the county authorities, they recommended, well, the best thing you can do is to start a junior program. And to be honest, for me, that was one of the greatest opportunities I've ever had and still am having. With that came just awesome things that we saw in young athletes and in families combined. We started our club with about 30 to 50 athletes, and it was a 4-week program. It was really quick, and from even the last week of practice, we had athletes coming and wanting to join. In about the first 2 years, we grew from about 50 athletes to over 180. So that was not just exciting for us, it was incredible and amazing. But with that growth, unfortunately, didn't come more places to train. And we found ourselves having very limited time or space and time to be able to train young athletes who maybe got out of school a little bit earlier than some of the older athletes. So with that challenge, we started thinking, man, it would be so cool to have a facility of our own. You know, we'd drive athletes out of the county and out other places to do clinics and different things, and we thought, what can we do? We need to build our own track. And so we started that process and thought, oh, this is great. Let's use the local Dixie Speedway, let's recycle tires, and we can really get ourselves a cool track and a really great community project and effort going. The more we looked into that, it just didn't seem to be a right fit. But we did a lot of research about tracks and what we could do to help grow our program and give more opportunities to kids that are in the community that didn't even have the opportunity because of our limited ability.
So over the course of the past couple of years, Camille has been, I didn't live here, but we would talk together about the problems she was facing with these athletes who wanted to train. The Dixie Speedway shredded tires, which we thought was such an awesome idea. An outdoor track alone doesn't sustain itself. So we started doing a lot of research on how we could make a sustainable facility year-round, because as a business owner, no one's going to want to invest with us if they're not going to make any money or year-round. So when we started researching, we saw that a wonderful and great and amazing thing was the indoor tracks. This is just a small sampling across the United States of indoor tracks. You can see that there's not a lot. You can see that there's 0 in Georgia. All athletes that run indoor track for indoor track season go out of the state to compete, and they don't have a place to practice because it's a 200-meter track, so it's a little bit different in your running. So there's not really a great way to train for it. So our athletes are a little bit underserved in this area. As we continue to further research, not only is there not a lot in the United States, they're overbooked because there's not a lot in the States. So even this year, talking to the AAU president and some of the people that we have met with, nationals are even held a little bit late this year just because of lack of space. So we started adding all of these elements together. We decided we wanted our indoor track, our outdoor track, and a cross-country facility. That encompasses 3 seasons just alone for running, and then in the summer doing summer camps for training, not just for running, but for all sports. Most sports have some element of running in it, and that's really what we're about, is all running related sports, anything that gets the kids off of their devices, and we came up with this facility for that. So not only in trying to make this as entrepreneurs and business owners, we had to realize that we also had to make this sort of a place that not only athletic events could come to, but for running, but there's cheer competitions, winter guard, corporate team building seminars that we could host here. It's also a facility for rent. We will host our own events there, our own track meets, our own training camps, and then because there is the shortage, allowing people to come in, host indoor track meets and events, outdoor facilities. The state goes to the same facility every year for state competition, and it's not in the best location. And so a lot of the questions that we get is, this is our rendering of our facility, so you guys can get an idea. The outdoor stadium, indoor stadium's in the building, and then of course we need lots of parking. Just in case you don't know what an indoor track looks like, this is a banked indoor track. Some of the best times are on a banked facility. We would like to have a hydraulic banked because we want it to be multi-purpose. So this is raised and lowered in about 1.5 minutes, and it's completely silent. Target customers is basically anyone who wants to compete in any kind of athletics, anyone who wants to try different athletics, anyone who needs a place to hold a business conference, anyone who wants, you know, ideally even graduation ceremony. We have plenty of seating. Just a lot of the number one question we get is why Cherokee County? We're totally on board with the Cherokee by choice. And just in our little area alone, within 30 to 50 miles, there is a huge amount of colleges, high schools, clubs, and then of course, when you just go outside of Cherokee County, there's a lot of people that would be willing to come. We've talked with lots of coaches on a national and a local and a state level, and everyone's excited for this, which makes, as a business owner, something very ideal. Of course, for Cherokee County, there's a lot of economic impact by bringing in sporting events. It's a $9.1 billion industry for sport tourism, and we would love to bring some of that back to Cherokee County. So our ask today, we are at the point where we've done all the research, we've built a business model, we have researched the heck out of this, talked to many people who could really bring events to us, who have written us letters of intent, who are committed to this, who are excited. And we're at the point where we are in the networking. We're trying to find, it's a niche real estate investment for those who are interested in this type of real estate investment. We're looking for partners. We're starting that fundraising portion of our exciting facility. And that's really kind of where we're at, is that part. And that is what we are, One Track Mind. One Track Mind comes from, as we continue to dive into this, we really became very singular-minded. People couldn't talk to anything to us except that it revolved around track. And we kind of started joking, and then one day Camille was like, we're so one-track-minded, this is One Track Mind. And that's how we came up with our name of our company. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now open it up for a question and answer, so feel free to ask.
So since you're at the most exciting part of what you're doing, which is the fundraising part, how are you going about that? What are you doing to try to raise the necessary investor funds to make this happen? And second, maybe the easier question is, what's the cost that you estimate? What's the investment in the county for that facility as you envision it?
Okay, so the question was, what are we doing? What are we looking for investors, right? And then cost of the facility. So we're really looking for partnerships, real estate investors. We kind of structured it, our capital structure is some investor debt and some equity debt. That makes sense, did I just say that right? Investor and, yeah, debt equity. To comprise the facility. It's about, so originally, I'm going to tell you the original cost of what we came up with our dream facility. Then it'll sound better when I say the price now. So we were really about $34 million. And this price, it's land, it's the facility, it's the track. When we realized that that might be a little bit, you know, the return to the investors was probably a little bit long. We've been able to get that down about 22 million. This is an NCAA IAAF, which is an international, nationally ranked facility. It brings all the big dogs. It serves our local people. So, yes.
Of the others that you've researched, have there been any that have started like with one phase of it, say the outdoor track, and then scaled up to others? And then the second part of the question is, what does the revenue look like? I mean, how is it profitable? How are they generating revenue?
Okay, that's I shouldn't say this. That's a great question. So the question is, what is our revenue, and what was the first question?
First question was, have you, in your research, have you identified any that have been successful that have started with just one phase and then scaled up, like done the outdoor track first, then the indoor track, and then the other components of the project?
So the question is, have we found another facility that's done phasing? So what's interesting about this facility is there's actually not another one in the United States like this that does an indoor and outdoor track and a cross country. Typically, it's associated through either Parks and Rec, which is like the Crossplex in Alabama, or Ocean Breeze up in New York, or it's connected with university, which universities typically do not allow it to be rented out to others for liability purposes. So this is a pretty unique. There's only one other privately owned indoor track, and we've talked extensively with them. We have talked about the phasing because it is an expensive project. We've talked the ins and outs of that. Financially, that's a great way to go about it. It does make it a little bit more tricky on making it profitable year-round. You have each season of the year, along with the renting of the facility. Part of our idea is to, even rent the outdoor space and the indoor field, because we'll have artificial turf. There's ways that we've built it to be profitable year-round. The revenue actually comes from athlete entry fee, concession stand, spectator sales, events that we've gone to. We've always been kind of surprised at how much they charge for spectator entrance fees. Not that I'm knocking Lake Point, because we've had a lot of people ask us why we don't do it at Lake Point. It's expensive to go attend it, as a spectator. $15 is a lot of money. And even when we built our model, we felt like we were at our $5 entry fee for spectators. We were like doing awesome, and it's still very profitable. We did a lot of research on the actual numbers of the number of attendants. So we didn't do a lot of guesswork. We just did a lot of research, pulled the average together, and it's become it is profitable. Am I allowed to say the number? I don't know.
One more thing on that phasing. Certainly, the indoor facility would be the wisest thing to start with, because we could do things there all year round. Phasing in the outdoor is an option. Also, phasing in the seating. We've allotted for a lot of seating, but that's something we should grow into for sure. So phasing in the amount of seating on the indoor as well as the outdoor, and possibly even the parking, would be wise.
This seems to be one of those things that would be a perfect combination for a public-private investment. I don't know, other people in the room here are probably more knowledgeable than I am, but we've got a world-class aquatic center down off of Sixes Road. And I think the taxpayers built that, so I'm not sure how that compares to what you're doing, but I don't know if that's making money or not making money. That was about $25 million to build that facility.
And there's a lot of land went by it,
Yeah, is that?
There's nothing there.
Yeah, tons of land.
There's tons of land there.
So I would think the state would be very interested if it's a profitable venture. Otherwise, my first question is going to be: is this a for-profit business? I think I'm hearing you say
it's for profit.
It is.
Yeah.
I pay $400 a year, I think, to be a member of the aquatic center. I can't imagine making money. But they've got high schools and colleges and they're running out facilities all the time.
Usually high school championships, right?
Yeah. And that's what I was thinking. Given the access of all the public schools that are running that out, would the state be involved? Obviously, Cherokee County probably not. Oh well, I don't know. Maybe the state and Cherokee County.
Yeah, it's a great option. We're looking for to work privately and with the government.
You're almost afraid to ask, without that kind of injection of cash at that, early investors are going to be, one is, how am I going to make money?
Yeah, we've actually had, we hired someone to help us. Obviously we're not like accountants or CFOs. So we hired someone that had been highly recommended to us to do the capital structure and kind of troubleshoot for these kinds of good questions, how our investors are going to get their money back. And they've come up with several different financing instruments and ways for our investors to get their money back at a really reasonable time. It was advantageous for us to lower that price, $8 to $10 million, because it just made it that much more fantastic. So yeah, we actually, I think when we first started really talking, we talked about Sixes Road and that area, and I can't remember why we still came back up here. It's because we love it up here.
It's still Cherokee.
Yeah,
It is
yeah.
still
There's a lot of
Cherokee.
land up there.
Yeah, that's something definitely.
So and you can do, in Blankets Creek there, it's already a lot of outdoor activity that takes place on that.
Yeah, all the tracks, everything with it. The walking tracks, everything with it.
Yeah.
It's a great location.
One of the things about our facility, is this on? Maybe I'm like clicking the button.
Burn it out.
Hello? Oh, you know what? I probably. Well, it doesn't matter. I can be loud. So one of the things that's great about this that we've talked about, because I think we keep coming back because of the reservoir, but it goes back to the swimming. The materials of the track are the #1 used for para-athletes. And we not only want it to be for regular athletes, we really want, because that's a very underserved community of athletes, is the para-athletes, and it's the #1 safest surface for them. And so in researching some of the Special Olympics and what's used for the para-athletes, they do a lot of swimming, kayaking, and we're like, oh, we could use the reservoir. But again, I think that at some point we had talked about the Aquatic Center and Sixes Road as some of those events are multi-events. It's running, it's swimming, it's, so yeah, yeah, we should probably go back to thinking about that. That's great. Thank you.
At one point in time, the women's soccer team was looking at that, playing in that area for their stadium facility.
Oh yeah, are they still looking? Because
I don't think they exist.
there's an Atlanta Sports City. I don't know if you've heard, any of you guys heard about Atlanta Sports City. I know that they're looking to host some of the professional women's soccer teams. So, yeah.
So, based on what the CPA did, you have the average time for investor to get their money back?
Yes, we do.
What is it?
We're really in this 5 to 7 year range. Yeah. I mean, they'll be getting some money back along the way, but for them to get, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear his question.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
He asked about the average time for the investors to get their money back. So.
Because I know you guys mentioned when I met with Camille, the desire to scale this, right? And
Yes.
I know if there's investors involved, or you want to ask that question, how do we scale this? If this is going to be a working prototype that's successful in Cherokee County, how long do you foresee it would take in years for this to be a successful prototype where you can then really scale that either across the county or across the state?
So scaling probably in the county, this facility itself, the indoor-outdoor, honestly is not feasible to build another indoor track in Cherokee County. Potentially somewhere else in Georgia, yes. If we went back to that slide showing it, we could scale it somewhere else up and make it a business venture. Because it's kind of a sports destination, which is very trendy, very popular, and has become sort of recession-proof through research. It brings in a lot of money. So scalability is the infrastructure that we would need to have here in place, which is part of the reason why we continue to go back to the same area. There's a couple of hotels already. We know that they're booked at about 80% each night, so we know that we'll need more hotels, more restaurants, more infrastructure to support when athletes come in. So there's actually a lot of opportunity to upscale it. But the facility itself, I mean, honestly, it wouldn't be wise or smart to build another indoor real close by, somewhere else, maybe in Georgia or if we're thinking on a national, because we're gonna be awesome and make several of these, which we would love in our dream world.
Have you guys talked to other people that have done what you're doing and been successful at it, and what kind of money do they make?
On the mic.
Yeah, sorry, I can pass that mic.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have talked to several of the closer ones. Crossplex in Alabama, which is 3 hours away. JDL Fast Track is in North Carolina, about 5.5 hours away. They're the only other privately owned track. In a 10-week indoor season, so you're thinking 10 weeks, JDL booked 52 indoor running events, and they had to turn people away. It goes back to there's just not enough indoor track space for the events. Crossplex also, same thing. They opened up and they were hosting national events from year one. And then they also completely booked, they turned people away. Does that answer the question? We could talk track all day, but did I answer that question right, Jordan? Did you? Yes? Okay.
How many people come to like one event? Like typically, like if they book one of those 52 events, how many are attending those?
The question is how many people are attending one event. If we're talking track and field terms here, one track and field event, you can have anywhere from 400 athletes. Depending upon if you're youth, high school, or collegiate level, you're going to have anywhere between the 300-400 athletes for kind of a smaller local meet, up to as many as National JO's track meet. They're running 2,300 athletes. So there's a very wide range. On a regular basis, on those typical events, you're going to get 500-600 athletes. And those, when you look at track and field, you're looking at 15 to 30 events at one event, right? So you're looking at all-day thing with, as far as athletes, coaches, spectators, people coming through. Matthew.
How do you prioritize booking? Is it based on first come, first serve? Is it locals come first? Is it economic impact? I mean, how do you see your booking going in terms of prioritization? Is it who has the most money?
How do you prioritize booking? That's right. Naming rights. Who wants to partner with us? No. Really, it's all in. A lot of it's going to be us out there trying to get people to come to the facility. So as far as priority goes, it'll start local, I'm sure. For a while, we'll start local and meet the local needs until it attracts more, and that's where we're working on our end, trying to market and get events at our place, hosting invitationals and things like that. Hopefully, the local colleges will be a big part of that.
So will you sell naming rights to the facility?
Will we sell naming rights to the facility? Absolutely.
And have you looked at partnering with Atlanta Track Club at all?
Have we looked at partnering with Atlanta Track Club? We have spoken with Atlanta Track Club. Atlanta Track Club is an incredible resource. They're the second largest running club in the country. I think they're at about 60,000 members. They're an incredible group. I know our club alone, we support Atlanta Track Club a lot. We love their camps, we love their clinics. We've had some great conversation with Atlanta Track Club, and we look forward to hopefully partnering with them.
Especially if we were to bring the facility down there. But again, we're kind of stuck on how much we love Cherokee County. But we're not saying no, we would look at that. But we like to explore the options and seeing if we can get it built here in Cherokee County. But we would not say no to Atlanta Track Club. There's no space in Atlanta. They've been looking to do it themselves. It is an expensive project, so they don't quite have the funding for it yet. And they've looked in Atlanta for property. It's super expensive, obviously, in Atlanta, and there really isn't anything left for them to build. So, we keep, every time we see them, Rich Kanawha, we speak with him and we joke around, and we're, he's going to build it first, kind of a thing. But there's enough good feelings there and enough support in both directions. We would absolutely continue that if you'd like to.
Well, Jenny, has there been, going back to that public-private partnership, has there been anyone else at the county or state level that has expressed interest in maybe having, some networking with you guys about a facility of this nature, Parks and Rec, cities?
So another question about private and public and what kind of communications that we have had with the city, the county, and the state. We have had those communications. Jordan actually was on a committee with me several years ago. We formed a group of parents and volunteers trying to talk and get this facility built, get a track built. And we had those communications. we've gotten wonderful feedback and wonderful support from them. We kind of, for a while, sat on a fence. You know, what do we do? Do we go private? Do we go public? And we're open to a lot of ideas. But we've had wonderful conversations with the county, the city, and the state. Dan Corso has been wonderful. So, you know, we're open to different things, but a lot of this it's a time thing. You know, we go private, we're looking at a longer wait on when this can happen.
And also, we started these conversations, but we were not ready, to be honest, to really make good conversations. We kind of started the initial talking, but what we really needed to do was get our financials in order, make sure it was sustainable, make sure this was a good business, and really make sure that it was well-rounded before we approach, because we don't want to go in unprepared and kind of shoot ourselves in the foot, so to speak. And so what we've been working on is getting that, you know, the return for the investors, you know, what our revenue model was going to be, and making sure that it was accurate. You know, in our dream world, we just know this is going to be like booked out every day, right? But we had to be really realistic, so we did a ton of research. So we started the conversations, but we were not quite ready to really have the conversation yet. And that's where we're at now, is we're sitting on that doorstep to be ready to have those conversations. So that's kind of the answer. We began the conversations, but we're really ready to have the conversation now.
We got time for one more question from the audience.
Mine's about 12 little questions. I am kind of curious then, so where are you then in the phase? Are you in the money raising part? Have you raised any money? Are you doing this full time? Do you have your own money involved? I mean, kind of, where are you in that phase?
Where are we in this phase? We're running around in circles. Just kidding. We are community. Sorry, give me the first question.
Just where are you actively raising money? Once you start raising that first dollar, that's game on. So
okay.
Just what you do full time.
Yes. This honestly, this has been a full-time job for us for about the last 12, 18 months. We are doing this nonstop. We eat this, we drink this, we sleep this. We were kind of at a standstill for a while because investors wanted to talk to us when we had land. We're not serious until we have land, right? So we are currently in negotiations with land, and we feel like that's making us a little bit more comfortable and able to put ourselves out there and say, hey, look, okay, we're willing now to put in X amount of money of ourselves. We're going to pay to get us to the point where we are ready to be in front of that investor and feel really confident about it.
So yes, we have money in it. Yes, we do this full time. Yes, and yes, we are at where we're wanting to meet with investors. We haven't raised anything yet because we really are at the point now where we can,
That's right.
So, yep.
One more question we always ask before we close is, what can your community do to support you?
I'll answer this, and then I'll let Jenny answer as well. What can our community do to support us? Keep doing what you're doing. We feel very blessed to be in such an incredible community, and we need the rally and support of this project, and we also need any ideas that you might have, people you might know, connections you might have that can really push this to where it needs to go.
Yeah, just like Camille said, we really are looking for help in your knowledge of who you know, who would be interested in this type of a venture, so that we could really bring this to a reality. There was one other thing I wanted to say besides, it'll probably come to me afterwards, so I might go around to everyone and be like, this is my ask, this is our ask. But yeah, we're really looking for knowledge, for information. We're open-minded. We are talking to someone about land, but we're open-minded to that too. So, the idea for Sixes Roads and revisiting that's a great idea, and that's something that we're going to do. We're very open-minded. We're very flexible in our thinking. So your knowledge, your information, your contacts, your networks, group that you're in, if you know anyone, we would love to speak with them. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Before you go, Camille,
Thank you so much.
Jenny,
Matthew,
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
thank you both. We also have a gift from Reinhardt University.
So congratulations on your start. And I started a business in 1996, and one thing I learned was to write down every thought, good or bad.
That is so cool.
So here's a journal from Reinhardt.
Thank you so
We
much.
appreciate it. We want to be good partners. I know our head coach Jordan has talked with y'all. Y'all know each other, and we're pulling for you because we don't have a track at Reinhardt.
Yes, we
have
know.
indoor and outdoor programs. So
You got some land though, right, Tim?
we got some land. We got some land. We might have some land.
We'll meet up later.
Yeah, we need to talk then.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's give One Track Mind one more round of applause. Before we go, we always have giveaways at 1MC, and I'm not sure if anyone's placed their card in the bucket, but if you haven't, here's an opportunity to win you some free coffee cups. Yeah.
Swag. Anybody have a card?
Anybody?
There's only 3 cards in there.
Oh, that's good. Nice job. Oh, good.
There's literally 3 cards.
What's that?
Put cash in. I'm going to start the investment in One Track Mind right now.
There you go. All right. See who we got here. Are there 4 cards?
Everybody wins.
I think everybody wins. Put this thing down. All right, Sean Fagan.
Here we go, man.
Thank you very much.
Maybe we don't have
Yeah, let's make it 2. Things just got real competitive here. Cherokee Shirt Shop.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. A few more quick things before we adjourn. The next time we meet, it'll be May 2nd at the Circuit at 9 o'clock. And our presenter will be Sarcraft. If you get the chance, Google these folks. Just a quick teaser here. We'll hear from Alex Bryant. The SAR stands for Search and Rescue, and they offer destination training. And interestingly enough, they are headquartered here in Waleska. So we'll hear from them on May the 2nd. And without further ado, if you have any more questions for Jeannie and Camille, feel free to ask, but we are adjourned.